My office, long before COVID-19, has been talking about health equity, has been talking about the need to help people understand when they're at risk and to actually intervene. And when you look at being black in America, number one, people unfortunately are more likely to be of low socioeconomic status, which makes it harder to social distance. Number two, we know that blacks are more likely to have diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, and I've shared myself personally that I have high blood pressure, that I have heart disease and spent a week in the ICU due to a heart condition, that I actually have asthma and I'm pre-diabetic. And so I represent that legacy of growing up poor and black in America, and I and many black Americans are at higher risk for COVID. It's why we need everyone to do their part to slow the spread.
So we know it's not something in our genes, and people, we know someone might try to take advantage of this. This is due to lifestyle diseases. That is why I keep saying we need to take our health seriously as Africans. We should stop eating.
Those numbers take your breath away. When we talk about equity and inclusion, they're not just nice notions. They are an imperative that we must embrace as a city. And we see this even more urgently when we look at these numbers and this disparity. It's unacceptable. No one should think that this is okay.
Joining us now is Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Mayor Lightfoot, you must have had a feeling that this was what the numbers were going to show even before the data was assembled, with this overwhelming impact on African Americans in Chicago. Do you have any working theory about why it is?
Well, I think the reporting that you just showed, which is when you have all these health disparities pre-COVID, where you've got a disproportionate number of people in the African American community with diabetes, with heart ailments, with respiratory problems, this disease attacks and feasts on those underlying conditions. And that's what we're seeing manifest in the numbers. I mean, it's breathtaking. When I first saw these numbers, I had a hard time thinking about anything else because I knew that this was going to land like a bomb and that we had to come up with some concrete, rapid responses to help people in these communities.
And there hasn't been any emphasis on this or even a word about it, as far as I know, at the White House briefings, which are the most prominent kind of public transfers of information about this. And yet we heard in the report just now that there has been a lot of misinformation
Yes.
out there. Do you have any sense of what kind of misinformation there has been in the black community?
Well, I think there's been a misinformation that Black people can't actually get the virus. And the truth is, in Chicago, the first reported death was an African-American woman who then gave it to her sister, who then also died. So the numbers speak for themselves. The fact that Black people are dying at 7 times the rate of any other demographic is stunning. It is a red alarm, an alert that we've got to respond to, and we are in our city.
And Mayor, how do you respond to it in terms of public information?
And one thing they are not addressing is I would like to know these drugs that is being administered, are the race being considered? Because one thing I know is that malaria drug in West Africa was really bad for some people. My mom, for one, would never take the chloroquine, the chloroquine. So are they taking into consideration that some of these drugs is actually harming people? And once again, something else I want to address is the fact that you can hear from what they are saying, and I'm going to show you some article in the links that the deaths are being counted not necessarily if the person died of COVID, but if they died because of a heart attack, they got the COVID, and then maybe they got a heart attack and they die, it's counted as COVID. And that is why I feel like in the United States, the numbers are so much. So almost all deaths, and also don't forget the false positives that we have. So all these it's forming part of the reason why the numbers are so high. So back again to African Americans, I want to assure you, Africans, people of African descent, that it's not necessarily that there's something in our genes that makes us more susceptible to this disease. It's the fact that African Americans in United States are the minority, and they fall into the group that are mostly poor. So yeah, COVID can affect COVID affects poor people than it will affect rich people, because a poor person may not get the right nutrition, and this disease attacks a person who is not healthy more than it would somebody who is healthy. And that is why you need to take preventative care. When I tell people, don't just wash your hands and stay home like they say. Take stuff to boost your immune system. Make sure you are eating properly. Stop the fast food. They're like, oh, they say we should wash our hands and stay indoors. I mean, if this disease is what they are saying, eventually we are all going to get it. So your system is going to determine whether you live or you go. So that's what I want to tell you. Take charge of your health. Let's watch this other video.
Last week, Dr. Michael Ryan, he's a leader at the World Health Organization, announced that in response to the spread of this virus, authorities may have to enter people's homes and remove family members, presumably by force.
In most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Just so you know, we're coming to your house, seizing your children and, quote, isolating them in a safe and dignified manner, whatever that means. Now, that's not something that under normal circumstances officials casually drop during briefings. It's the kind of statement that might trigger violence. People don't respond well when you threaten to take their kids.
This might be why people bought guns. Americans won't allow it.
The WHO, that's the World Health Organization, receives vast amounts of money from the United States, and we pay for a majority, a biggest portion of their money. And they actually criticized and disagreed with my travel ban at the time I did it. And they were wrong. They've been wrong about a lot of things. And they had a lot of information early, and they didn't want to, they seemed to be very China-centric. And we have to look into that. So we're going to look into it. We give a majority of the money that they get. And it's much more than the $58 million is a small portion of what they've gotten over the years. Sometimes they get much more than that. Sometimes it's for programs that they're doing, and it's much bigger numbers. And if the programs are good, that's great as far as we're concerned. But we want to look into it. World Health Organization.
Guess who is going to be right there supporting the WHO? Bill Gates. Anyway, today I just wanted to share with you guys the latest news about the Black Death, why it's on the rise. Because some people were saying, oh, is it because of something is wrong with black people? And also this Chinese people discriminating against blacks. I decided to come on here and let you all know it's got nothing to do with our genes or maybe anything in our blood. It's the fact that people refuse to eat properly. People refuse to make proper lifestyle changes or choose better lifestyle. I know that it's hard for some people. They are really poor, but with the food stamps they get, they could still try to get in some vegetables and stuff instead of eating pizza and all those things. But hey, I'm not in their life, so I can't really say. But you are watching me right now. I want you to make a better health choice. And please, 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 whatever medication you are going to be giving or somebody's going to suggest to you, make sure you know the risk and always compare to what is happening to you right now. So I am going to sign out and thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I cannot leave you without telling you the message of hope. Do not be afraid. All of these things we have already been forewarned. The world and everything is going to pass away. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So just stay strong. Do not be deceived. That's why I'm here. Be informed. Do not be deceived. And stay strong. Do not be afraid. Bye-bye.